Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live, and today we are discussing about the humanity. Humanity or the mankind has been growing consistently since the time in the recorded history, almost for 6,000 years. And we have been growing slowly in the beginning, but for last 100 or 150 years, we have been growing exponentially because we are trying to conquer various, things that affect us in terms of pandemic, in terms of famine, in terms of which actually these are the things which actually remove all life, including humans. All right. So we are conquering these things. There are certain things we still need to conquer. Things like earthquakes, things like tsunami, etc. Even the threats which are coming from outer space. However, there are certain things which are beyond control. There are certain things which are internal, and this is exactly what we are going to discuss with India as the core discussion point. And if you know that, if you look at the humanity, the major concentration of the human population, there are three major pockets, although there are more also, there are more humans, but there are three major pockets which actually defines the bulk of the humanity living in that area. Number one is India, China, that section, which comprise of nearly 50% of the global population, followed by US and Nigeria, which comprise of next 40%. Other 10 to 15% live in area which are scattered all over the world. So these are the main concentration of humanity, which is India, China, US, Nigeria. Therefore, if something happens to these areas, then it will have the global impact. So whatever happens to India will have a global impact. Whatever happens in US will have a global impact. So what is going on? We have heard that the fertility rates in the European countries were very low, and because of that, when the people retire, the young blood is not available to replace the olden guards. That is a problem, and that is why the solution the European countries have found is that they open their immigrations and they allow countries from India and other areas to basically take the citizenship and replace the workforce. Because if they don't do that, then the population will decline and eventually the countries will collapse. So that is one solution. However, now we are hearing that the Japan fertility rate is also reducing, including China. Now, typically these pockets of humanity, which is India, China, Nigeria and US, they are known for basically population growth. The population growth has been going through exponential, through the roof basically. Now, if you look at the India as a country, the population now is estimated to 1.4 billion people living in our country. All right. Now, if we hear about the fertility rate going down, what are the impacts that we will discuss? Because as I said, in the European countries the fertility rate is lower, and the fertility rate is something which is beyond any control. That is something which happens naturally. What is the fertility rate? Fertility rate is basically the amount of new people taking birth who will eventually replace the older people. So as the older generation finish their work, retire and passes away, their position is taken by the younger generation, younger blood. Now, if this does not happen at an adequate rate, then the countries can collapse, economy can collapse, even the humanity can collapse. And if you look at the history, this has happened previously because of pandemic and famine and various natural reasons. However, there are no natural reasons right now. The fertility rate of China, Japan, is going down, and now we hear that even in India it is going down. What will be the impact of this? That means the population will actually stop increasing, because for last so many hundreds years the population of India has been increasing consistently, and it is growing without any gap. And that was a big problem, because there were a lot of initiative by the government to reduce the population. Various things were tried. Even in China, there were various things, various family planning measures were taken to control the population, because more number of people more stress on the resources availability, food, etc., etc., living places, etc. So same is the situation in India. However, now if we hear about fertility rate reducing in India, what will be the impact? We are already 1.4 billion people, and English speaking, almost 99.99% people speak English in this country. That means the outlook of Indians, 1.4 people, a billion people, have a global outlook. They can pretty much go anywhere and work anywhere. Highly educated, English speaking, technocrats, and also enterprising. So these are the characteristics of general Indian people, and therefore India is one of the major pocket of humanity. It impacts the global position. So if the fertility rate starts to drop, so one side we are actually showing a very promising path of success for India. That means the economy is growing. We have already reached number 4 position, and the aim is to become number 3 in next 5 years. So if the fertility rate is reducing, that means there are not many people replacing the older guards. The new trained young blood is not going to replace the older people who are going out. So if the fertility rate goes down by say less than 1%, then what will be the impact? The impact is being talked about, and the impact is going to take effect by 2065. So the population will continue to grow till 2065, and eventually Indian population will reach 1.7 billion by 2065. The reduction in fertility today, which is affecting us, will affect after 2065. After 2065, in next 20 to 30 years, because in these 50 years the fertility rate has gone down by 1%, and because of that the young people will not be able to replace the older people. Then eventually there will be some shortcomings in terms of replacing the young blood with the old people who are going out or retiring. The impact will be shown only after 2065, and it is expected that by 2090 population will fall back to 1.3 billion, 1.29 to 1.3 billion, because of the fertility rate which is going down now. All right, now let's analyze this. There are pros and cons. Let's discuss about the cons first, and then we'll come to pro. The con is very very well known, and I've already spoken about that. The con is that the fresh blood will not be able to replace adequately the olden guard which are moving out of the system. So that is one area. And if the availability of young blood is not there, youngsters with enthusiasm, energy and vigor is not there, then the skill development which are required for the development of the society may not be adequately replaced as a society. So that is a clear con. However, the spread, because India is a very large country and very populous, the impact will be known after 50 to 60 years only. However, since this is already known to us, we can take some measures to correct it. Now, what are the measures we can take? Before we discuss that, let's talk about the pros. The pros is that since India is a large populous country, although it's large, but the resources are limited in this area. The drinking water is limited. If you look at the India as a region, even though there are major rivers in this region which flows from north to south on both sides, however, since there are so many people, that source of water is not sufficient to cater to all the people, the entire population. So if you look at the water condition in India, India has only 2% of the drinking water, and it is quite less as compared to the other countries. So these are the things which are affecting us. So this is one of the pros, that if the population goes down, then we will have better resource management. Now let's talk about the food. So we have limited farmlands. There is a rural area, there is a urban area. So there is a limited farmland, and the farm yield cannot be controlled by, I mean, we can control little bit by doing hybrid cultivation, by using the hybrid seeds and other irrigation technologies. However, there is a limit to how much you can grow per acre. You can increase it by like 20% at the best, but then Mother Earth has to give you certain things if it is grown naturally in that same manner as it grows in the nature. So there is something that we cannot control beyond a certain point. So even though we follow the best farming technology, we will have we cannot increase the yield, and we can't make it double. Unlike any other manufacturing, say for example, if you put another plant, you can double your production. In the case of farming, the production of food is controlled by the nature. So therefore, if the population drops, then we will have better management on the food circulation. The Food Corporation of India has been doing this stellar job for last 60-70 years, maintaining prices, maintaining availability, making sure that the floods or famine does not affect the supply lines. And at any point in time, even with this large country with so many people, we always have surplus of 3 to 4 years. And even when there is some issue, the government of the day, whichever government, kicks in all the initiative and bring back the price back to normal in next 3 to 4 months. So we have been able to control this aspect very, very nicely. However, if the population goes beyond what we can provide, then we will have little bit of crisis. We will have to spend a lot of foreign exchange in importing food from other areas. But the population is growing across the world, so we do not know in future whether the food will be available for import also. So I think if the fertility rate reduces right now and the population stops to grow the way we are growing exponentially, if we grow steadily like a steep line, it's okay. But if it is going like a steep curve, it could be a problem. So I think there are pros, there are cons, but I think this is a boon in disguise, because India is a very populous country with limited resources. So if the population reduces, we can still manage it. And by if we reduce our population to 2.3 billion by 2090, it will be a great thing, because all the Indians will be highly educated, will be global. Maybe by the time we'll be setting up our colonies on moon and contributing, basically leading the mankind in the next forefront. Therefore, this is a boon in disguise. Although we should be aware that such a thing is happening, that fertility in India is actually declining, and earlier it was actually increasing. In last from past hundreds of years, 2 to 300 years, it has been increasing quite rapidly, and it was a big problem. But now, in this decade, starting from 2020, it has actually started to decline. It will continue to decline, and even with this decline, the population will still increase to 2.7 billion people, which are too many people. But after that, it will decline again and stabilize at 1.3. So friends, this is something which is sort of related to business. It is related to our future planning. It is also related to our personal life, our families. So I would like to know what you think. If you have an opinion, if you agree, disagree, or are you worried, not worried, whatever the case may be, please send in your comments and I will respond to you in the next one. So thanks for watching me live, and I'll catch you very soon, friends. Have a nice day.